Hello, and thank you for clicking on the video. Um, it's been some time since I last posted a video, and I wanted to take a few minutes and discuss application or applying for jobs. Over the last couple of weeks, I've had students come into my office and discuss how they've selected agencies that are hiring and discussed how they have applied. Some have actually been turned down. They submitted to an agency and went through the oral board, and that agency pretty much said, hey, we're not interested in hiring you. And so I wanted to spend a few minutes sharing with you my experience of becoming a police officer and how you need to build up your resilience level when applying to these agencies, so that you're not discouraged and easily, give up and decide, what, being a police officer is not what I want to do. So let's talk about how I went about it. When I was searching for jobs at the time, there weren't that many jobs for police officer, and I had to apply to a number of agencies. And so I applied to, I think I mentioned to some of you, at least 30 different departments because no one was retiring, no one was hiring, and it was really difficult to find openings anywhere. And so the first thing you need to realize is that in California alone, there are 300 law enforcement agencies searching for police officers. And so currently in California, we have 30,000 job openings. So it is a great time to apply to a law enforcement agency. Now, each agency has its own organizational culture, and you're not going to be able to change that culture. So when they interview you and they start asking you questions, they want to see not only that you're able to answer the questions, but they also want to know if you're going to be a good fit for that organization. And for some of you, that's not possible because they look at you for whatever reason. They don't think the way you're acting would be a good fit. And so they're going to say, hey, thank you for coming to the interview. Thank you for taking the written test. Thank you for reaching out, but you're not a good fit for our agency. And so my good advice to you, and this is something that I did for my own life, is that look at that as a learning experience. And so when you leave that interview, turn on your smartphone, start a voice memo, and record the questions that you remember were asked of you during that oral board interview. And so, when you get home, play your own voice, type up the questions that were asked, and then come to somebody like me, a college professor, former police officer, and others who are working in law enforcement, retired from law enforcement, and then run those questions by them to find out how they would have answered those questions. A lot of them involve critical thinking skills, reasoning ability. They want to see how you communicate, how, are you able to, have good eye contact when you talk to them, or are you doing what a lot of my students do? They're like wondering when they're talking to me, they're looking at the ceiling, and I'm like, excuse me, where are you looking at? Please look at me when I'm talking to you. So anyway, that's one of the points that I want to share with you. So how do you select these agencies? Basically, you go to the website post.ca.gov, and then you scroll down through a number of job openings, the alphabetical order. And I just had a student in my office, and she was interested in being a police officer, and we went down the list, and we saw that there were a number of trainee positions. So trainee positions are those where the department actually will put you through the academy and pay you to go through the academy. So in a previous video, I told you that a good idea that I recommend is that you put yourself through the academy so that you have that advantage over other applicants. And so for others of you that can't afford to go through the academy and want to take advantage of this trainee position, being able to have an agency put you through the academy and then pay you while you go through the academy, you need to also look through that list and then come up with an agenda of what you're going to do. In my case, I tend to be biased. Of course, I love Southern California. I love all the beaches. I love surfing. It's it's a great life to be. But some of you probably enjoy Northern California. Maybe you enjoy the woods. Maybe you enjoy being closer to Oregon, where you have more rain and it's greener, etc. So I mentioned this because the student that was in my office, I was trying to persuade her to go down south where all the beaches are, and also to select larger departments. You want to pick agencies that are large enough that you're going to go over there and you're going to get lost doing a number of different job assignments. Now remember, you have to work between 25 and 27 years. Some of you will actually stay in law enforcement 30 years to max out your law enforcement. So why not go apply to agencies that have a tremendous number of job opportunities, not just patrol, not just detectives, but specialized, gangs, vice, narcotics, traffic enforcement, DUI enforcement, horse patrol, bicycle patrol, you name it, it's there. So pick 5 to 10 large agencies, apply to them all at once, and then don't get discouraged when they turn you down. It's a learning experience. If you repeat what I told you earlier in this video, that every time you go to a interview, you actually write down all the questions that they or record all the questions they ask of you. Each time, you don't realize, but you're building up your knowledge base. And so the next time you go to the oral board, you're going to be wiser. You're going to be able to say in your mind, oh, I remember this question. They're trying to see how I'm going to do in this ethical situation. Am I going to respond properly? Am I going to have good eye contact, etc.? So I can tell you, the first time I went to an oral board, I failed it. Second time I failed it. Third time I failed it. Fourth time I passed it. And the fifth time I passed it, and from there on I went on and just kept passing them. Same thing with the written exams. You can't take a written exam and fail it and then just give up and say, you know what, forget it. This is not for me. No, you have to build up your stamina, your resilience, that you have to understand, hey, there's 300 agencies. I've only applied to 5 or 10. I've only gone to 2 interviews. So that's not enough. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of you will be hired in the first time you submit. This female student that came into my office, I could tell she just has the right personality. She's entered the military service. She's part-time military reserve. And so she already has that command presence that I know will totally fit any agency in law enforcement. All law enforcement agencies are paramilitary in nature, and they're going to look for somebody like her that is already have that command presence ability to scream and stop and be kind at the same time, etc. So for some of you, it may require you to join the service. It may require you to do some fact checking to see if you're eating healthy, if you're exercising regularly, are you fit, are you able to go through the academy. Others, you need to work on your social skills. This texting business is not doing you any service by all you do is you text, and you never communicate. And all of a sudden, you get in front of an oral board, and this agency is going to give you a gun and send you out to solve society's problems, and you can't, for some reason, answer one single question and make good eye contact. I mean, that's not going to be good. So anyway, I'm going to stop it now. We're at 8 minutes and 20 seconds, and I probably went over what I should have done. But I do want you to stay focused. Remember what I told you in the beginning of this movie. Apply to a number of agencies. Avoid small departments. Very political. I don't recommend working for small police agencies. And even some sheriff's departments. Your sheriff is elected every 4 years. So again, if you have questions, reach out to me. I'm here to help you succeed. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you very soon.